Hey all, and welcome back to the Systems of Workflow Magic podcast, or if you're here on YouTube, welcome back. I am here. I'm joined by Becca and Mara. We are going to be doing a launch debrief of our Black Friday Summit that we hosted back in August of 2025. And so we just thought we needed to do a launch recap, see what worked, what didn't work, some numbers, some data to share with everyone. And so just real quick, just in case people are brand new, I will have Becca. Do you mind introducing yourself to everyone?
Sure. Hi, I am Becca and I have Rebecca Reed Creative. I'm a website designer, primarily focusing on website in a days. And yeah, we all launched this together and I did a lot of behind the scenes of creating the website pages, the designs in Canva, that type of thing.
Everyone, I'm Mara Kusarik. I do online courses for people and I also do a lot of Black Friday sales, kind of by accident to start. I helped a bunch of entrepreneurs set up their online courses at the beginning of my business many years ago. And then people came back and they said, how do you do a Black Friday sale? And that has grown over the years. And then I roped Dolly and Becca the last couple years into talking about Black Friday and teaching about it. And then hosting a whole summit about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And if you guys are joining us, regardless if you're on YouTube or you're listening in to your podcast, a recap of the Black Friday Summit is that we hosted, it was called literally the 2025 Black Friday Summit, and it was a 3-day online virtual event, all pre-recorded talks from other business owners, what worked for their past launches, what didn't work, strategies, tips for 2025, specifically geared for Black Friday. Would you have anything else to add to that?
It was completely free. There wasn't all access pass, so people could get the recordings. But I think that's always important to know. We did this for free, and a bunch of people were able to watch for free. And then, we had different topics, email marketing, social media. It was a really good variety of topics about how to plan and run your Black Friday sale.
Yeah. And so again, a little, I don't know, why we did this. So listeners, if you know anything about me, I love a good pre-launch plan and planning things out far in advance, maybe a little bit too far in advance. And earlier in 2025 of this year, I met up with Becca and Mara in Arizona for our, I guess, I'm calling it our mini mastermind that we had. And we planned out this entire summit in February, and we were just dreaming about what this could all look like. And that's where the genesis of this idea came from, was from our mastermind retreat and us just wanting to just make Black Friday easier to comprehend and understand and launch for small business owners who tend to put it off until the last minute, the week of. We wanted them to know they can have an opportunity to plan out a very strategic Black Friday launch and a Black Friday sale, even as a solo business owner. And they don't have to have thousands or millions of email subscribers. They can still have a successful for them Black Friday plan. So I guess I'm just going to ask some questions and we can just answer these. But in your minds, after we, I guess, did the launch, we just successfully did the launch. In your mind, did we hit any of the goals for this launch? What, when you were picturing the launch ending, did it live up to your expectations? Are you happy that you participated in this summit?
Yeah, I think this summit exceeded my expectations, and I didn't have super strict expectations. Unlike Dolly, I've never done a summit, but I have participated in a lot. I just have not hosted one. And I would say my experience with summits in the past, where some of them were good, some of them were they didn't have a lot of traction, they didn't really promote the speakers, signups were hard to get, and I think summits are becoming more and more common, so it's hard to get people to sign up for something even if it's free. And so we had 758 people sign up. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And talking to some other business friends who have run summits, and they were promoting to a much larger list of people than we were, they didn't get that many signups. So I was floored by having over 700 new people that are like new to all of our worlds. Now they're on our email list. They know us. The speakers got a lot of new email signups as well, from what I understand of looking at the analytics. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly how that converted. So I was super happy about that. And then I think our annual pass sales were really, really good, because I've seen that also be a struggle for people lately. And in case people don't know, the annual pass is usually like the replays of the summit talks. So you have them for a longer period of time, and then some extra bonus goodies. So we did that. We did a private podcast, and it sold really well. We had 137 people buy the annual pass. So 18% of people that attended the summit bought our annual pass, which maybe doesn't sound impressive, but if you're familiar with online business numbers, I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. I was blown away. And like, full disclosure, it wasn't like a pass that was $97. We only sold it for $27 to $37, like 27 early bird, 37 during the week, if I remember correctly, because it seems so long ago that this happened. But yeah, I was really excited about everyone that jumped on board the All Access Pass. And Mara, like, you can speak on this because you've been getting a lot of messages about the All Access Pass. Can you share some wins, some positive feedback testimonials that you've been receiving via email?
So I've been getting a lot of these because the way we split up the summit was Dolly did like a ton of the planning, logistics, keeping us on a timeline, making sure we had everything. Then Becca was amazing and like designed everything, which to me, I'm like, I would have never been able to do the summit if I had to design every page myself. And then I was handling a lot of the email communication and communication with speakers. So when someone responded to our emails, which were coming from all three of us, I took the lead on getting those. So Dolly and Becca have seen some of the screenshots, but I've been primarily getting the people responding. And we have asked people to respond of like after they buy the All Access Pass, there was a lot of check-in touch points because I think we all have bought things and then you get one email and then you can never figure out how to log in ever again. So we had it set up where they get a bunch of nurture emails if they buy the All Access Pass, telling them how to log in, showing them the different parts. There also was a private podcast, and it's super easy to use, but we had a bunch of emails about how to use it just because you need to know like where to go in Apple, or if you want to use it on Spotify, what's the specific spot. So we did get a ton of great feedback about the All Access Pass. I think the private podcast is the main thing people have commented on, and that was something that we don't, some All Access Passes include it, but a lot of the times they don't. They just include like, here are the videos to watch. And all of us are moms. We have young children
Yes.
who are like in the thick of toddlerhood. And we just knew there's no way we're going to like sit down and watch a video that has to be on our computer, or you have to like remember the right link on your phone. So that was huge. I've gotten a ton of emails that the podcast was super easy to listen to.
Good. And listeners or viewers, however you're consuming this, Launch Debrief, we used Hello Audio for our private podcast. And it was really easy to take the summit talks and to put it into audio format into Hello Audio. And then we just like created notes, show notes for each, I guess, like summit talk. And that, again, I have been listening to those talks as well. And it's been, it's been even positive for me as a summit host. And so I'm so glad we used Hello Audio. And you all, if you are thinking about leading either a summit or a bundle or like some sort of launch with an audio component where you want to have a private podcast feed, we recommend Hello Audio, and it's only $17 a month. That's it. Let's talk about some surprising things that happened from this launch, because I know like leading up to, we've been planning this. We planned it since February. And so we've just like, our heads have been just down planning that and then also working on our individual businesses. So we had a lot of life happen to us between then and now. And so, Mara, do you mind sharing with everyone, like, what were some surprising things that happened between February to now for you?
Yes. Oh boy, because I have a ton from this year. So we met in Arizona, planned this summit, mastermind, all that stuff. Shortly after that, I found out I was pregnant and went through some of just the most insane morning sickness that a person can have, which I did not have with my first pregnancy. And it was all good. It was fine, but I'm talking like you're down for the count for days at a time. So I was not expecting that. And that was when we were pitching people. So I felt so bad because Dolly and Becca had to do like the grunt work of a lot of the pitching. I did pop back in later and like try to make up for this. And then also this year, I bought a house. We moved an hour and a half away. So that was like a crazy interruption. Dealing with pregnancy during the actual summit, I was like in starting the third trimester in the thick of it. So none of that was on the original plan, but it still all worked. I just was not expecting to also be completely packing up and moving my house and be super sick and pregnant the entire time.
Life. Um, Becca, are you able to share any like things that happened, any challenges or lessons learned for you, like while we were working on the summit, leading up to even post summit?
Yeah, I feel like same. Like it's just so interesting because you go in with this intention of being able to devote all your time and energy towards, especially during summit week, right? Like that's what you've been preparing for. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about launching something like this with people, because when Mara was super sick, me and Dolly could step up. And the week of the summit, well, in July, there was a lot of family changes. There was a lot of uncertainty in my family. And then in August, my husband found out he got a different job across the country. So he left and I was alone with a 2 and 3-year-old. And thankfully my mother-in-law came and helped for a while. While the summit was launching, the week of the summit, my mom and dad flew in to come and help me pack up my entire house as well as launch this summit. And then I moved across the country. So it's just the way it is. And I think like any advice I have, if you're going to launch it, like Mara and I have been completely in awe because Dolly has done summits before. And we're like, how did you ever do a summit without help? Because it is, I mean, all I did was graphics and there were 5 billion graphics and 5 billion website pages that are needed for a summit. And so I'm just really grateful that we had each other to help.
Yeah.
And I think just like we already touched on, one of the biggest like things that amazed me in the summit was how many people registered and the way we were very honest on our email, you know, and if they register, they go to all 3 of us. So that increased my email list by a very significant portion. And it really got me into a completely different world of people. I had a lot of newer entrepreneurs and I feel like it put more established entrepreneurs on my list, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But it was just cool to see.
So I will share with listeners, like I experienced a very bad health scare. I'll just call it that in August, and Becca and Mara stepped in majorly and took over a lot for summit and summit like execution, because I had to totally like my body was in panic mode over some health stuff. And so I'm so grateful for the both of you for helping in so many ways. And nobody would have known like that was happening. Like each of us was going through something specifically at certain points of the summit. And so that just speaks to the power of like having good relationships. Like I trust both of you. Maybe like so much. I'm like, oh, Becca and Mara got this. Like I totally trust them so much. So I am very thankful that I was able to relinquish some of these tasks over and we were all able to work on this together. And it really exceeded my expectations. I wasn't expecting over 700 organic signups. And this was all organic marketing.
I'm glad you clarified that, Dolly.
Yeah.
We did not do any paid advertising.
No.
We did have to pay for some things. So like when we say we sold 137 all access passes, it made over $4,000. That doesn't mean we all made $4,000.
Yeah.
Because there were extra expenses of like additional website hosting, we needed some specific tools for the summit, which literally in one of our all access pass emails about selling it, it was like, this is why it costs money. We're not greedy, but it costs money to have the software to keep the talks around. And I think that transparency was actually really helpful for a lot of people, seeing, oh, that's why these things cost money.
Yes. I was a very I loved the transparency in all the emails too, and I know that it made the audience really appreciative of just like us being real. I will say something that kind of blew me out of the water in the best way, like, was having a sponsor for the summit. I've never had a sponsor before, and I loved working with it. For everyone who is wondering, we had Ellen Yin of Cubicle to CEO. She sponsored our summit, and it was very cool having her be a part of this, and her being willing to work with, like, because I consider us like such small fish. Like, I feel like I'm a small fish, not you two are small fish. I feel like I'm small potatoes. And so I was like, wow, thank you for agreeing to this and saying yes to us and wanting to represent your name in the summit. So that was really fun for me to see somebody like believe in us. And I think it paid off really well.
Yeah, I agree. I loved creating the website pages and plastering Cubicle to CEO all over, because it really, and like, again, transparency with all of you guys, like, she paid 1,500, I think, to be a part of the summit, and we didn't really make any of that money. That was just, that went to all of the expenses that are a part of a
Yeah.
summit. And so it was just so nice to know, like, not that I was like, I knew I wasn't going to be making bank on this summit, but I was putting a lot of work in. And so I didn't want to have to also be spending money on a show it website, you know?
Yeah.
So it was so nice to have her just supporting us.
Yeah. It was very nice. And Ellen Yin, for those of you, I will link all of her links below as well so that you can give her a follow. Hey, Mara, I feel like you can speak to this since you were the one that was emailing everyone out. Talk about like email open rates, the data behind that. Like, I will say, like, my fear going in was, oh my goodness, like, I would have so many unsubscribes because all of these people were sharing it. Like, we were being very transparent and saying, hey, when you join the summit, you're joining all three of our email lists. But the growth I experienced and the email open rates I experienced, and just like, I don't know, just the positive feedback has been so good since August. And so I wanted you to talk about the email marketing aspect of the summit.
Yeah, I love talking about all things email. So, just so it's clear to everyone, what we did was we decided when someone signs up for the summit, we're going to split the email list 4 ways. There's going to be 4 people who get all of the signups, and it's not going to be the speakers, which might sound crazy. There are some summits who, if you're a speaker, you get the full email list. And that's a little crazy as a participant to go on like 25 different people's email lists. So we just didn't feel great from like a summit user perspective that they're going to sign up for the summit and then they're going to go on like 25 different people's email list. So they went on our email lists as the hosts, and then they also went on Ellen Yin's email list, so our sponsor. And so that was one of the huge perks. She got some other perks of being a sponsor. I feel like it was a very great trade-off for us and for her because she was featured on all the pages. She had some dedicated emails where we got to talk about her business. And then she got all of the emails of people who signed up for the summit. So she also had like this fresh crop of people. And then the speakers donated a free gift, and we promoted heavily like links to opt in. So I know the speakers got a lot of opt ins. I'm just clarifying that they didn't automatically get every single person sign up. If someone wanted something about like online courses, then they could specifically sign up for that. They weren't automatically opted in. And so then we had a specific list of summit participants that we emailed, and we were so intentional about the emails. So I did pull the email open rates and data because I love knowing that stuff. So the average open rate was 57%, actually 58% if I round it up, because it was 57.86. So that's the average rate of people opening emails. A lot of them were actually higher. And then after the summit was we had some wrap up stuff like a survey, some final emails about the annual pass. And so those were a little lower. That's to be expected of people who were here for the summit. Our unsubscribes were really low for the summit. I think over the entire summit, we had 15 people unsubscribe, which is really, really good. So people were opening the emails, they were clicking and reading. Typically, so we sent emails reminding them about the summit. I think there was an email once a week leading up to the summit. So like if you signed up a month in advance, you got an email once a week. And then we did like 3 days before and then the night before the summit. And then during the summit, they got 3 emails, which I was a little worried was overkill. And some people actually told me they wanted more. So we did like I know, we did a morning email, afternoon email, and an evening email. And what these emails were they were just links to all of the talks for the day, because there was 3 days of the summit. Each day had a different talk. So really the emails were pretty simple, but it was like, here's what you can watch now. And I think people really appreciated the reminders. And I specifically did early morning for anyone who like wakes up before their kids, and then afternoon for someone who has the freedom to like be watching the summit during the day. And then we also did an evening email, and I think that's when a lot of people did end up watching, was after that 6 p.m. email went out. They're pretty short and simple, tons of like questions, asking people to reply, to tell us what they were watching. And people really took advantage of that, which was really fun.
A random question, but did either of you watch the summit presentations yourself? Because I know like we had this whole time to plan and put all the puzzle pieces together, but did you actually sit down and watch any of the presentations?
I did. I watched a few ahead of time because we had access to the presentations early, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to fit it all in early. So I watched a few ahead of time, and then I watched at least 2 a day. I think there was one day where I watched like 4, because they were pretty good to just put on the background while you were working on something else.
Yeah.
It was also really interesting because I could see what people were clicking on. So sometimes I would see, oh, a lot of people watched this presentation today. I haven't watched that one yet. I'm going to go watch it. And then in the evening email, I would usually say a couple of the presentations that had a lot of clicks or really high watch time, and several of our speakers commented on that. Even if it wasn't their talk, they like responded and they were like, that's really cool that you're like calling out people. And said, like, I think Joyce Hamilton had a really short talk about AI. And so many people watched this talk, you guys, like clicked on it. I think because it was 15 minutes, it was about how to use AI to plan your Black Friday sale. And it was like one of the top clicked talks of the summit, at least on her day. I don't know if that's the same in the All Access Pass or not.
Well, what I enjoyed was, I will say this. I was heavily influenced by Gemma's talk about the 5-day Black Friday in a box, like her launch strategy. I was just like sharing with Mara and Becca before we hit record, everyone, that is going to be my strategy this year. I'm just going to try something new for the systems and workflow side of my business. I already have everything mapped out for the photography side. That's all been planned out. But now I'm just like, okay, what strategy am I going to use this year? I'm going to try that Black Friday in a box strategy.
Come at it from kind of a different perspective. So there was a talk by Brenna McGowan. Again, we really tried to have a wide range. And so Brenna's talk was about, should you even do a Black Friday sale? And the approach that like Dolly and Mara a lot of times will say is, yes, you should. But I watched that one, and my business, again, because, you know, life, when it just gets really crazy. I, right around this summit time when summit launched, ended up taking a new job. It was like, it landed in my lap, and it was like the perfect fit, and it's working for another entrepreneur I know really well, doing Showit and Squarespace websites. And so my business pivoted pretty heavily. And therefore, watching that talk and just realizing my business is pivoting right now to being more employee kind of based, although it's very part-time. So I very much still am doing my own business. I decided I'm not going to run a Black Friday summit. And so, or a Black Friday sale. And, you know, I think a lot of times with summits, like because one thing you hear about summits and why people don't want to sign up is it gets overwhelming. And I think it's really important to just look at who's speaking on the day, and is there one talk you feel will benefit you? And so I probably
Mhm.
only listened to 3 or 4, and the ones I chose were the ones that were I could use kind of holistically, I guess, and not just for our Black Friday sale. So that was just my approach. Again, probably the people who joined the summit were going to do a Black Friday sale or were interested in a sale. So my perspective is unique, but I do think it's just, it's something to be aware of when you join summits or bundles or whatever.
So I know selfishly that I want to continue to work with both of you for 2026. So hopefully you two haven't been too sick of me yet. But are you two about potentially leading another Black Friday summit in 2026?
Like hands down. And I already have a list of things I would tweak or do differently. Not that anything was wrong, but once you do something once, then you're like, oh, I have even more ideas now.
Like I just shared, like my business is just in this very strange stage right now. And so I love community. I love you too. Like we are talking all the time, not about Black Friday Summit. Like we're just talking about life. So us 3 are friends. So there's the part of me that's like, I want to do it just because I'm your friend. And then I enjoyed the work, like the actual designing of the sales pages and the designing of the speaker pages and the canvas. So like I enjoyed the work I was doing. It's just a matter of, do I know what my business is going to look like in a year? Absolutely not, because this opportunity I currently have, although currently super part-time, she wants me to be full-time. So I'm just trying to navigate like what is my desire? Do I want to work full-time for somebody? I don't really know. I have a 2 and 3-year-old. Actually, yeah, I don't even know their ages. They just had a birthday yesterday. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like playing it all like out and seeing, but I did really enjoy it. And it was a very fun experience, and I would be definitely on board to do it again if my business continued in the same trajectory it has been.
What, Mara, share with the listeners what you would do differently for next year.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Because I started a list, which anytime you do a project like this, make a list when you're doing this sort of thing, because you'll never remember it in a year.
Yeah.
You'll like, I've always done that for Black Friday, because what happens is you run Black Friday sales for yourself, for clients, and then you have all these great ideas. You don't remember them next August. So some things that come to mind, I would pitch speakers even earlier. And we pitched speakers early, you guys. Like we were pitching in March. And I think some of the key people or people we wanted to return, I would ask them in January, just because entrepreneurs are so busy. And I don't even know that it would have to be a big pitch, but like, hey, can we put this on your calendar? I think would help a lot, because we got a lot of people who would have spoken if it had been on their calendar sooner. And like I said, we were talking to them in March or April. So that's one thing for me. I think I would also pitch more sponsors, which is something we didn't spend a ton of time on. And I think we could have spent more time on it. We did not have that time this year, to be clear. And we would have had to work out like splitting it fairly between sponsors, because I wouldn't have wanted Ellen to get like less of a return. But just something to think through of like, could there have been other sponsorship opportunities? I think would be really interesting. And I think there were like some different maybe levels or something we could have done there just to cover even more of this like cost of the summit, and then maybe upgrade like some of the user experience. There could be some cool stuff there.
Yeah. I was thinking what we could do differently next year is, so the 3 of us had a paid product called the Simplified Black Friday Planning Kit. And we pitched it at the very end of the summit to our email list. And we made sure that it was something that would be the next best step after watching the free summit, because it had everything that the summit did not have. So it had like email templates and Canva graphics and like kind of like your little Black Friday kit that you need to take everything that you learned and then execute it. And we did pitch it, and we did have buyers, but there's wasn't like okay, the cart is open. There's normally like you get it for a lower price for the first 7 days, and then it'll go up, or some time frame. So I think next year we should be more intentional about, okay, the cart is open now. You can get it for this amount before it goes up.
That was what I was going to say as well. I think because but it would have been a better ROI for us personally too,
Yeah.
because it was a higher price point than the all access pass. I think there's a part of me that has toyed or thought about like, well, what if we would have been talking about it throughout the summit? And I don't know, like the reason we didn't talk about it at all during the summit was because we wanted to focus on, well, one, the free trainings, but two, the all access pass. So that was the only pitch we were making, which I do think you don't want to have too many pitches, but there's a part of me that's like, was there enough of a like lead in to the Black Friday kit to like let them know? There's another part of me that's like, maybe even though we did the Black Friday summit at a good time, we all agree.
Yeah.
There still was people that were like, this is so early to think about Black Friday, you know, in the end of August. And so I'm like, maybe the Black Friday kit, the deliverables are just too early. And so one thing that we did when we first started like talking Black Friday back in 2024, we did a Black Friday masterclass, free masterclass, hour long. And we then pitched the kit and we had a much higher ROI for that.
Yeah.
So I don't admit we had way fewer than 750 people on that live training. But we had more sales. And so I think maybe like being more strategic about nurturing the Black Friday kit buyers or the Black Friday free summit people, like nurturing them for a couple months and then doing a masterclass, which none of us have capacity to do this year. So I'm not saying we should have done it this year because Mara's extremely pregnant and I'm moving across the country. But if we had capacity, I would say like we do that masterclass again in like October, you know, after just kind of like chatting about free things with these new people and then launch the kit. That's what and then again, like having because the thing that I think worked really well when we did it last year was we had if they purchased live, bonus that was like super great. So we got a ton of people live. We just had such good bonuses. I don't think we ever decreased the price of it when we launched it last year. We just had such good bonuses that, yeah, people were enticed. So I don't know, a couple different thoughts for next year.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And so the summit was in August, so people know about that. And then last year we did that webinar in October. And I do think there is something there of like people are willing to start thinking about Black Friday in August. And I think that worked to our advantage, but they're not like necessarily actually doing the work yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with both of you with what you both said. I really think that next year, hopefully, Lord willing, we'll be more at capacity. We won't be moving across the United States. Hopefully, knock on wood. Neither of us. We won't be pregnant. So I am hoping we'll have like a little bit more time to insert a masterclass webinar and talk more about the Black Friday kit at the end of that. But overall, like I think that this Black Friday summit, it blew me out of the water. I loved it. I loved everything about it.
I agree. I was reflecting on like best things of 2025 that I did in my business, and definitely the summit is like up there of, it was a cool project. It was something I hadn't done. And I met a bunch of like fresh people on my email list, which is kind of hard to come by these days. I don't know if everyone listening has experienced that, but my email list growth has been kind of stagnant. Like it does grow a little bit, but it is not like 600 to 700 new people all joining that really were not all in your world before. Like some people joined, but they already kind of knew of you. Like Becca said, it was cool that it was like a totally different audience because all of the speakers were promoting for the summit. So like different people that had never been in our worlds ended up finding us, which was really cool.
Yeah. And I think for me personally, being more strategic about like, I didn't realize that many people were going to come into my world. And I think if I would have been thinking that through better, I had already agreed months and months before that I was going to be affiliate launching a web designer course immediately after this Black Friday. So I had all these people coming on that were entrepreneurs who probably had no desire to be a website designer, who are then getting these emails. And so it was just this kind of, I struggled like, do I put them on this? Do I not? And it just, if I was being more strategic, I would have maybe focused more on, do I really want to do this affiliate launch where they're going to be receiving 20 emails from me right after joining my list? Because and I will say, I wish I would have looked at the number for everybody, but yeah, I had maybe 650 new people on my list. And I would say I had like 200 people unsubscribe in the first month, which Dolly and Mara didn't experience because they didn't send out 20 emails about website designer boot camp and then course. So just, thing for me to know for next time. I don't regret it because I had already agreed to it, but just be aware of.
Yeah, well, and Becca's audience is like super niche in a really cool way of if you want to learn how to be a profitable website designer, her emails are amazing. The only problem was not everyone at the summit is a website designer, right. But still, like you got a bunch of new people. But that totally makes sense. Where I think Dolly and I had broader emails, so right. There was a little less unsubscribes. Though I have been emailing like less in general because I have been a little afraid of like burning people out. I don't know that was the right choice though.
And I've been kind of in the middle, like all systems go. No pun intended. I know I talk about systems and workflows a lot, but I have been intentionally emailing out my list every Monday, like with some sort of Black Friday tip and kind of like reminding them about the All Access Pass and that they can still purchase it and the Black Friday kit. So, which leads me to my next thing. I want to remind listeners or viewers, when this comes out, it's still October. So we are about a month away from Black Friday. And if you are wanting to see, like, if this All Access Pass sounds interesting, like you are wanting to see all the summit presentations and all the summit talks and get all the bonuses from all of the speakers, we are still selling the All Access Pass. And so I will be sure to link that below. And then if you're like, okay, I want like that little simplified Black Friday kit that the three of you have created, I'll also put that link in the show notes as well, because that's like the next best step after watching all the summit presentations. Get the simplified Black Friday planning kit. I don't know what your thoughts are, but that's how it goes in my brain.
Definitely agree. The Black Friday kit has like, if you're on Showit or Squarespace, it has a sales page for you to just like grab. It has all the emails you could ever need. I mean, it has a whole Trello or Google like doc that shows you exactly what you should be doing 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, So it has everything you need to run a successful Black Friday sale.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for taking your time to do this launch debrief with me and just to like share it with my audience. So just like the real behind the scenes of launching with your best friends, what it looks like, what went into it, like the outcomes and what we would do differently. I just like love being transparent with my audience and letting them in on like a summit launch and then like plans for Black Friday. So thank you both so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you for listening all the way through. Don't forget to hit subscribe and let us know below, like, what were some of your favorite takeaways from this talk? And if you are planning on, like, I know it's October, but are you planning on planning out a Black Friday sale? Get all the resources below so that you feel more strategic and more prepared and less scattered. Until then, have a streamlined and magical day. Bye, guys.